Do you often feel the loneliest when you're with other people? I've heard tons of INFJs, myself included, state that we feel the loneliest when we're with a crowd of people. And that's so interesting if you actually think about it, right? It's very common for INFJs to feel lonely in a group of people. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, is why INFJs feel lonely. So if we haven't met before, my name is Trina Brentnell. Thanks for tuning into my station. I like to just show up and help introverts, specifically INFJs and INFPs, but I do talk about some things just for introverts. Why do I do this? Because I'm an INFJ and I understand the struggles that we have in life. It can feel like nothing works for us. What works for everybody else? You can see people just going about their day, having a great day, getting through their career, being successful, and we try to do the same things and it doesn't work for us. It's like beating our head against the wall and it gets super frustrating. We start questioning who we are, if there's something wrong with us, if we need to be fixed, and there's not a lot of resources out there for an INFJ. So I've been working on myself for quite a few years and I understand these struggles, and I thought I would just start showing up and sharing some of the things that I have found that have worked for me and hopefully will work for other INFJs. So if that's you, or if you know an INFJ, maybe you're living with one, you're dating one, whatever, stick around. You might find this interesting. If you don't know your personality type, feel free to reach out to me. I am a certified Myers-Briggs practitioner, so I can help you out figuring out what your MBTI type is. And it's so exciting. I love talking about everything personality. I find it fascinating. All right, enough about that. Let's get into what I was talking about, what the whole point of my video is today, which is, why do INFJs feel lonely? And it's so interesting because we seldom ever feel lonely when we're alone. We love our alone time. We never get lonely when we're alone. We get lonely when we're with other people. And there's reasons for that. There's quite a few reasons. I'm going to talk about a couple today. One is we are amazing at understanding other people. That's like our superpower. Some INFJs think it's a curse, but it's actually a superpower. We can walk into a room, into a social event, and it doesn't take us long to figure out what's going on. It doesn't take us long to read the mood of the room, the mood of the people, especially when we sit down at a table, and figure out what's going on. We can identify right away, well, who's sat at that table, who's doing this, who's doing that, who's kind of lying between their teeth. They say one thing, but they're actually thinking another. We're great at that. Amazing. And we assume other people are too, but they're not. Our type is probably the best at doing that. So we just assume that other people are great at that and they should know us as well, but they don't. And this causes issues. We are a very complicated personality type, very misunderstood often. And it can leave us feeling like there's something wrong with us. And I'm going to get into more about that in a little bit. Also, INFJs, most of us have trust issues from past trauma. So we have a very hard time opening up and letting other people see our real selves. So we're really great at walking in a room, taking on the emotions, taking on the moods of everybody else, and just fitting in. Okay? And I'm going to get into that a little bit too, right away here. Deep down, we feel like there is something wrong with us. So we will hide our true selves because we feel like there is something wrong with us. We feel that if we are going to show our true selves, our true personality, if we're going to share our thoughts and our feelings, that we're going to get rejected. The world is going to reject us because we're too weird, we're too sensitive, we're just not normal, right? And most INFJs they've already had a lifetime of rejection. Right from when we were little, we get rejected. We get told we're wrong. We shouldn't think that way. We don't talk enough. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't think this way. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't write those kind of stories. You shouldn't listen to that kind of music. That sort of thing, right? So you're like, oh, I'm wrong. Because our brains are completely wired different than everybody else's, and we have different ideas. We see things totally different than anybody else. And it makes it tough because INFJ is a very rare personality type. On average, the studies are showing we make up between 1 to 3% of the population of the world. That's very small. That's a very small percentage. So many INFJs can go an entire lifetime without ever meeting another INFJ. I have only ever met one personally, physically. I have met quite a few online, but I have only ever met one in person, and it's another one that lives in the same town as me. And it's quite interesting. I've known her for quite a while. She's my oldest son's age, roundabout, and I was watching her posts and I kind of thought she was an INFJ. So I reached out to her, and sure enough, she was. So I was pretty excited about that because most INFJs go an entire lifetime without meeting one. So when you go that long without ever meeting somebody who thinks like you, who sees the world the way you see, who can make decisions like you make decisions, you really do start to think there is something wrong with you, right? And that really makes it difficult when you're out and about being social because you've already got that hang in the back of your head that there's something wrong with me. So it makes, you're scared. You're scared to open up. You're scared to say things. You're scared to be you. So we're really great at being other people. We're chameleons, right? That's what they call us, is the chameleons. Because we will go out into a social setting. Maybe you're out with your group of friends and you can take on their moods. Like maybe they're really excited and they're happy, and that's what you're going to be, even though you're not feeling that tonight. You're not feeling that tonight, but you're going to do this because you want to keep harmony with that group. You want everybody, all your friends, to be happy, and you want them to have fun, and that's what you're going to do. So you don't ever show your true self. You become who the group is. And that causes exhaustion, overwhelm, makes us feel like we're not being seen. It makes us feel very lost and alone. So the loneliness starts creeping in, right? Because we're always being like somebody else, so nobody sees us for who we are, and that makes it tough. But being aware of that and knowing, how could you expect people to, right? If you don't ever be yourself. It's a really hard, it's a hard topic to talk about because you get really emotionally invested in it, because I know how it feels, and I know how it feels to be rejected, and I know that fear. So I still, like, even though I've worked on myself a lot throughout the years, I still, if you put me in a social setting, I will catch myself still being that chameleon, going in and being like everybody else, right? Or being quiet, just sitting back and listening to people talk. And if I'm asked a question, I just answer based on what I think they want to hear, not really what I'm thinking, because if I shared what I was thinking, my true thoughts, I don't want to get those eye rolls and people be like, oh, where did that come from? And I don't want that feeling, right? So it holds me back, even though chances are pretty slim as an adult that that's going to happen when you figure out your true feelings and figure out who you are. What can we do to help this is learn about being an INFJ. That is like the best advice I can give an INFJ is research that personality type. Research. Join groups, INFJ groups. There's tons of them on Facebook. I will warn you, some of them are a little bit depressing because there's a lot of INFJs out there that are very sad because there's limited resources for us and because we're so different. And I feel bad for that. So find a group that really fits with you. But there's tons of them out there. I've met so many INFJs. A lot of my good friends are fellow INFJs that don't live remotely close to me. That's the top advice I can give to an INFJ is completely understand that personality type, right? Like, for example, it's our extroverted feeling that is the culprit to being able to walk into a room and take on everybody's emotions, know what's going on, their moods, everything like that. That's our extroverted feeling that does that. So understanding that that's that part of your personality that's doing that, you can research it. Well, okay, how do I gain control? How do I wrangle that up so that I can be me and feel confident about being me? Another piece of advice for helping with this loneliness to get over it so you're not lonely in a crowd of people is set boundaries for yourself. Taking on other people's emotions is exhausting, and we do it and we forget about ourselves. We forget about us. So set boundaries for yourself, not for everybody else. You can't control their emotions. Set it for yourself. Learn to identify, is this me feeling? Is this mine, or is this somebody else's? This takes time. It takes time and practice for us to be able to do this. I still work on it. I still haven't mastered this, but I work on it and it helps. It really helps. And getting to know yourself. This is another golden piece of advice that I could give an INFJ is get to know yourself. What I mean by that is ask yourself, what is it that you like? Not everybody else. What is it that you like? What is it that you like to read? What is it that you like to write about? What kind of music do you like to compose? What pictures do you like to paint? Not everybody else. You. How do you feel? Ask yourself, how do I feel about blah, blah, blah? Whatever it is, how do I feel? Not how should I answer so I don't get an eye roll in this conversation? Ask yourself, how do I feel? You don't have to share it. You don't have to share it with everybody else. You can keep it inside you until you're ready to share it, till you're confident enough to share it. But ask yourself, okay, how do I feel about this? And not agree with everybody else. Maybe how you feel is agreeing with everybody else, and that's okay too. That's what I had for you today. I hope you found this helpful and interesting. I've rambled enough. I don't want to keep you too much longer. If you found this helpful, give me the thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming on with more interesting information. I don't know yet what I'm going to talk about, but it will be introvert related and probably INFJ related because I love talking about our personality types and I know there's not a lot of resources out there for us. There's some, but some of it I can tell hasn't been written by an INFJ because I'm like, what? This is not going on. Anyway, thanks for joining. I appreciate it and I hope you have yourself a fantastic day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.